Hi, everybody. My name's Craig. I'm a member of the board here of the ViewPoint Co-op Gallery. For those people I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the artist talk this afternoon, and to welcome you to the gallery if this is your first visit here. Uh, I want to begin by acknowledging the fact that when we gather like this, we have the privilege of being together on the lands of the Mi'kmaq people. And we are, whether we're here in the gallery or we're at home, out on the street, out taking pictures, we live within a treaty relationship that predates all the other signifiers by which we sort of define Nova Scotia, by which we define Canada. It predates the Nova Scotia legislature, it predates the creation of Canada, it predates the foundational constitutional documents of Canada. And I think there's something really powerful and significant just to say that you begin with a covenant of relationship. And I think that notion that relationship predates everything else is the foundation, is the starting point. It can be really significant if you live up to it. And the theme of relationship is one very close to the subject of the show that we're here to talk about today. The Plus One exhibit, a show that brings together friends, family, collaborators, mentors, people who are important to us in our lives as photographers. So it's really looking forward to the opportunity to hear from each of the ViewPoint members who are here today, and to hear from guests as well. It's unfortunate, of course, that we can't have everybody all together all at once. And for those of you who are participants in the show, who have work on the wall but weren't able to be here, I hope that you'll enjoy at least seeing this presentation that we're recording as well. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to our MC. Again, thank you very much for being here this afternoon.
Great, thank you, Craig. We're going to be, depending on how tall we all are, we're going to have to move this video up and down all the time. So, as I said, clockwise around the gallery. For the people who are listening to this as a recording, we're going to be moving around the gallery walls in a clockwise way, showing each group of images. So the initial time you're going to see them, they're going to come up as the member is going to be outlined in white. The plus one guest is going to be outlined in red. Then we're going to show the images separately, and then we'll go back to the whole group, at which point the member and or the plus one will come up and talk to their images. And I'm really, like Craig, I'm really looking forward to hearing about everybody's ideas and processes, and we're saving questions until the end. So we begin with Graham and Inger, and these are their two images. Graham's image. Inger's. And now here's the pair.
Thanks, guys. Inger and I chose water as our subject. Is this high enough? I'll climb it. Inger got her MFA degree from Ryerson some years ago, and she sent me this to read to describe her picture, which is the one on the right. Inger began photography for environmental change by working off-grid as an underwater photographer in the early 80s for and here's an acronym for PRIDE, the Preservation of Reefs and Islands from Degradation and Exploitation. Focused on water, Inger is currently working on images made by learning biodynamic processes on a French fruit and nut orchard. She says, "It was a delightful surprise to see this pond full of water from a very wet spring after several dry summers in the French Pyrenees. The pond picture as an example of plant patterns and reflections in and of nature." So that's Inger's. Mine is the one on the left. It's the result of a mixang photography course I took in the spring. Mixang is a way of looking at the world and using your camera that incorporates some Buddhist ideas. Between classes, we were told to go out and do our homework and shoot interesting things, color or texture or light. In my case, I chose sort of color and light. It's a philosophy which tries to avoid conceptual thought, which means you don't think about what you're shooting. You don't, apologies to Cass, think of a title. You don't think of a story. I have 1 minute left, thank you, Heather. You just try to capture the essence of the thing itself. So what caught me about this one was the color change from a certain perspective down by Point Pleasant Park, from dark black all the way through the natural water to white on the top corner. The top corner is some reflections of those huge big cranes that load the ships. That's me and Inger.
Thanks very much, Graham. So next up we have Jane and Jane, the two Janes. So here are the 4 images together.
Okay.
The individual images. And the 4 together, and pass it over to Jane.
Thank you very much. See if I can get situated in here in the right way. Yeah, hi. Really nice to be here and be back in the gallery after an absence of some months. Jane, one of my passions in life is being a street photographer, and something I started at a later stage in life, and I'm so proud to be exhibiting with Jane Gismondi. A very important part of my journey as a street photographer is to connect with others, and I met Jane and through a street photography group that she founded and on Instagram called After Vivian, which is inspired by the work of Vivian Maier. And she did that with Monique Campbell, who some of you know as well, who I also co-exhibited with. And so I've had the privilege of also meeting Jane, although she lives in Vancouver. And we've been out shooting a few times and have really formed a friendship, which is wonderful. She is one of the most creative people I think I've ever met. She's a daily shooter, and she's out in all kinds of weather, and her drive is wonderful. Our work is quite different, our styles. Jane is very interested in intentional camera movement, in abstraction in street photography. So we didn't have a unified theme, but each putting forward pictures that inspired us and hoping that they work together. We both shared that fascination with color and atmosphere and movement. So Jane's images were taken in Vancouver. The one of the snow on the bottom left, it was particularly notable in a departure a little bit for her because of it, but I love the intensity of color in that and how she turns an everyday moment into something magic. And she does a lot of intentional camera movement. I encourage you to check out her Instagram page. It's wonderful. My images were taken on a recent trip to Tokyo, which offers endless possibilities for very very unique photography, I think, and it's always great to be there at night and in the rain. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Jane. So next up we have Lorraine and Alex. This is, I should point out, meant to be a single image to which each has contributed half. It's a diptych. So I'm not going to show the images apart. I'm going to show them just together. There we we are. And here's Lorraine.
We are makers of stories, and in return, stories make us. Image on the right. Alexander the Great gathers the warm glow reminiscent of candlelight around him. Outside, the coming darkness is not the golden light of the Mediterranean, but the cool tones, blue and cyan, of the North Atlantic, unknown in the ancient world. Those reflected lights hover above the almost dark sky. Like the legend of Alexander, they are mysterious and enigmatic in their echoing presence. Was it arrogant to drape the tangled string of Christmas lights around him? Not for meaning, but because it was too tiresome to unravel them. The implications of his spirit shining developed as he stood radiant over the holidays. Image on the left, the deck, a Canadian deck, an outdoor space of leisure, often open on several sides, unlike the ecos or courtyard of ancient Greek homes. This modern mid-20th century suburban addition to houses is for barbecues and sunbathing. This scene is eerie in its sense of silence. A strong illumination of flowers and leaves accentuates the amount of light a world rich with energy chooses to consume. The hammock, wrapped in lights, curves upward and reaches across to link with those reflected lights of Alexander, evidence of our need to create visual connections. It is the connections that bind us, hold chaos at bay, and provides comfort in the logic of contrast and comparison. That blue, almost indigo, echoes across each image, a particular color when stars can be seen for a short time at dusk. Is Alexander seeing the faint but visible stars above the deck with lights? He seems not interested in the bright hullabaloo of the hammock, choosing instead to look beyond to that starlight which, perhaps, left at a time he was conquering the then known world. The call and response between these now united images sing their correspondence. I move back and forth as the story unfolds between them, a sweet sway of visual interpretation that I love when images are not alone. My thanks to Alex for making this with me.
Thank you, Lorraine. I'm looking at those pictures, that picture, completely differently now. So, next we have Heather and Wesley. And we have both Heather and Wesley with us. Turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Cass. Heather's here. Do you want to say anything or no? Oh, okay. Okay. It is a great honor for me to actually have been invited by Heather, who's my mother-in-law. I was scared and very nervous, but there's something to be said about having someone in your life who believes in you hard enough that you start to believe in yourself. So very simple premise. We took our cameras onto the waterfront one evening and decided to just take pictures. And the result of that was we ended up picking our top two and then doing our post-production stuff kind of together. And these were the resultant images. So just to explain, I think the bottom ones are pretty self-explanatory reflections on the same building. I'm forever trying to capture George's Island in its glory, and then turned around and realized, oh my God, the entire island is actually right there. and tried to position myself in a way to capture the whole thing the way I wanted it. And I didn't know that as I was doing that, Heather was taking a photo of me doing that as well. So same spot there, sort of similar area, taking a photo there. The top photos are of the same sculpture. So this is the Rise Again sculpture that is on the waterfront. Heather did this very beautiful sort of image of it with the people in it and the figures. And I had been trying to take photos of it behind the sculpture. So I was around there, around where the Mystique restaurant is. And so I do have photos of this building from the back side. But then I stood underneath it and looked up all of a sudden. I thought, oh, well, those are interesting. And took some shots of the up-close chips or tiles that actually make up this sculpture. So that is the explanation for the photos.
I don't have anything to add to that. So Wes, it was an absolute pleasure working with you. We really free-flowed this, and I'm thrilled with what Wes came up with. We both laughed at the reflected piece of glass on the bottom too that looks almost like a tree knot, and I think one of the members said you better let them know in that building that glass is going to break very soon because it's so distorted. But there's Wes. I think you can see her silhouette in that the bottom right hand corner of the bottom left image. Yeah.
Great, thanks. So I'm up next because I'm next on the list here. And I'm afraid my +1 can't be with us because he died in 2012. My +1 is my father, and I chose him in order to keep his spirit alive. He was a lifelong, serious amateur photographer, and he would have loved this group. He would have joined this gallery for sure, and he would have loved the exhibition. Just a quick note about this image. This is the earliest of our 4 images. It was made in 1962, Dad shooting on black and white film. And it won the American Natural History Magazine Competition Award in 1968, which involved a huge stack of books, and a $500 prize was also won. That was quite a lot of money in 1968. And I continue his love of black and white. Dad was very progressive. He went digital in 2004 and did basic editing, spots, tonal color editing using Photoshop elements. And this is the most recent of our 4 images, which is mine from February this year. So you can see similarities, and maybe you can spot differences as well. My father was the master of the intimate landscape. He was he shot natural scenes and in a representational style using very minimal editing. He really wanted to show the beauty of the natural world. For me, I tend to have a slightly wider perspective, although I'm also very much inspired by the natural world. I also do much more editing and alteration with my images. They're more interpretive, I would say, more introspective. I maybe just spend way too much time navel gazing. And they're more metaphorical and rely often heavily on titles. But despite the differences, the subject matter and style are remarkably similar. So both primarily inspired by the natural world, and that comes from our personal love of being outdoors, family hikes and paddling adventures and camping adventures. And we both gravitate towards simple graphic compositions. So apples apparently really don't fall far from the tree, and I'm very pleased to be able to have this opportunity to exhibit with him again, and I'm just sorry he can't be here to enjoy it himself. So next up are Alan and Paul, and this takes the form of a call and response, which I will let Alan talk about, but I'm going to show the images not individually but in pairs because that's how they were conceived. And there they are. And Alan, I think, is going to come and speak to their collection.
Thanks, Kaz. Paul Williams, who's my plus one, is a former member of the gallery, and so we knew one another getting together. We had never worked together, oddly enough, despite being members of the same gallery for over 15 years. This was also a plot to try to get him to come back. And he's not being coy, but he's not committed yet. Anyway, he and I are the type of work we like to do overlaps a fair amount. And over the years, we came to look upon one another's work fairly favorably. So, where to start? He lives in La Have in Lunenburg County. I live here in the city. So our first thought was maybe we'll try an urban-rural thing. That got boring very, very quickly, very quickly. So we decided we'd try to do something that would entertain ourselves. So we decided on what we are calling a call and response. So I sent off the first photograph. The first one I posted was the bowling shirt one. And that was my call, and Paul's response was the one from London. And so it continued back and forth. The call, response. We ended up with 40 pairs, from which we then narrowed it down to the ones that we thought spoke to one another fairly clearly and that we liked, quite frankly. I'm just sorry he can't be here, but ibbity, that's all, folks.
Thanks very much, Alan. So next up we have Ray and Jimmy. And I think I should point out the titles, I'm sorry, are being blocked by the silly video of me. It's The Way In is the title of this one. And Ray is here to speak to somewhere.
Hi, it's going to be a very short speech because I'm not not much a talker. So at first, while choosing the +1 partner, I was trying to find a woman street photographer in Atlantic Canada, but I failed. So, and by the time I was browsing online and I saw Jimmy's photo and I showed him a message, I thought like our photos could be a match, and I invited him to join the exhibition and he said yes, and here we are. Jimmy is based in Hong Kong, and the reason I choose this photo is because the way in, you can see there's like a doorway or whatever like high above. It's usually in my culture is something you will see in the by the gate of a street or something. You usually have the street name on the door thing. So that's why I choose it to be the way in, and the way out is the photo I captured on a hiking trail between Lunenburg and Halifax. I was inside a concrete tunnel of a bridge. There was highway above me. I'm not sure which one it is, but it was a highway. And I thought the light coming from the outside with the shade of the trees seems interesting, so I choose this one to be the way out. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ray. And next up we have Ed and B. And again, tree house. Tilted. And we have Ed to speak to.
Determined I'm going to stay center. All right, so B is someone I had not been familiar with before we actually got, we knew we were doing the +1. I came across their work one night when I just got home. I was actually trying to take photos of Johnny's Snack Bar unsuccessfully, and I came home and on my Instagram feed, right at the top, someone else's photo of Johnny's Snack Bar, which is coincidentally reposted from someone from Vancouver, who it turned out I knew from a past life. I did not realize when they posted it. So I followed B right away. It turned out B lives somewhere in my neighborhood. We moved to this neighborhood about a year ago, and as soon as we moved there, one of the best ways I found for sort of like cementing the neighborhood to my memory and really exploring my neighborhood was just to take my camera out every time I went. So I was taking a lot of photographs of my neighborhood. Turns out B was taking a lot of photographs of their neighborhood. So I thought it'd be an interesting chance to show the same neighborhood through two different sets of eyes. I decided to shoot day photographs. B's are night. Mine are mostly where people live. B's are where people go. I shoot digital. B shoots film. So I thought it would be, an interesting sort of interesting to put these two things together. Beyond that, I don't really have too much to say. I think it's really this is just the north end of Halifax, and just walking around and really sort of making the best of where it is that we live and trying to find photographs in places you might not expect. When I started as a photographer, I wanted to be like a street photographer. I'd go out and take exciting photos, but I found that wasn't working for me, and I found that just sticking to my neighborhood and forcing myself to stay and find interesting things there is what's really sort of pushed me over the last year, and you can see from B's photographs they do the same. That's it. I think I went under 2 minutes there.
Great. Next up, we have Avard and Jane. Another Jane. And I think we have Avard somewhere here to speak to the collection.
Hi, I'm Avard Woolever, member of this gallery for the past 3 years. Thank you. I like being part of this gallery. I like being with like-minded people. And I've learned a lot about presenting my work here, and I want to have a shout out to Ron Pitts and Roxanne Smith, who have taught me a lot in the past few years. My +1 partner is my daughter, Jane Wilson. She's 22. She just finished her first year at Concordia University in Montreal in child studies, minor in art history, which is a big interest of hers. Jane does a lot of traveling by herself. She's been to Europe several times and various other places. And she always takes her camera with her. And I just want to talk a bit about Jane, how she got into photography. I never really taught her anything about it. She just kind of watched me over the years. Before she had a camera, when she was, I don't know, 10 years old, 7 years old, she would see something and say, "Dad, can I use your camera to take a photo?" And I would give her the camera, and she would take a photo, and it would always be really nicely framed. And it would always be a really good photo, I thought. Wow, she has some talent. So she got her own. My sister gave her an old Lumix camera that's probably 20 years old now, and it's totally beat up, but that's what she uses. And it's nice collaborating with her. This is our third time doing +1 together. And we do it a different way each time. This time we looked at her photos from Niagara Falls and decided that it would be nice to explore the idea of power. And so these photos kind of roughly, we have, the hot air balloon is the kind of power. We have the electric power of Niagara Falls. We have the power of communication and electricity, and we have the power of a place that's off the grid with a gas powered lamp there in the bottom right photo. And it's always a pleasure collaborating with anyone on any project, and it's really special collaborating with my daughter. So thanks a lot.
That's great. Thank you, Avard. Another father-daughter team. So next up we have Craig and Lisa. This is Nature's Exchange. And here's Craig again to speak to them.
So I know Lisa really through her photography, which I very much admire. When I first joined Instagram, she was probably one of the first few people I started to follow. And people know Instagram is full of people who give bad advice. It's full of bad examples of photography, directions you don't want to be steered in. Lisa's work is very much the opposite for me. She's somebody who I really found is an amazing example of artistry, technique, but also work that really reveals a deep love for her subject matter, and there's a real joy in that, I think. And I'll just want to read you a statement that she sent, her bio statement. She writes, "Lisa Connor is a wife, mother, photographer, and lover of the land. She is Upper Mohawk from 6 Nations of the Grand River with mixed settler ancestry. With camera in hand and children in tow, she explores the natural world, capturing the beauty, diversity, and delicate balance of the environment around us. Specializing in nature, wildlife, and insect photography, she is drawn to the intricate details and quiet moments that often go unnoticed. Her images celebrate the richness of biodiversity and reflect a deep connection to land, inviting viewers to slow down, observe, and appreciate the interconnectedness of all living things." And it's a motto for photography that I'm very inspired by myself, and was really, really thrilled to have the opportunity to be able to bring her work to the walls here. So thank you.
Great. Next we have Dean and his +1, Gwen. And Dean. Gwen.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I met Gwen through the Photo Guild about 4 years ago, and she has attended various events here at the gallery, and I've got to know her work over the years, and I always liked her perspective or what she captured in a lot of her images, and thus I invited her, and thankfully she said yes to do the show. We went through a number of themes: landscapes, abstracts, geometric shapes, but we landed on macro. And her home is beautiful on Prospect Bay Road, where there are ample flowers available for her to explore. Mine were shot out at the home of Laszlo and Maria Pador, who have great gardens as well. Just a quick note about me shooting macro. Tunis Obden was a member of the Photo Guild many years ago, and when he passed away, his family kindly wanted to donate his Pentax gear to other folks who shot Pentax. I'm in that minority myself. So I have 2 of Tunis's lenses. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be shooting macro. It's not something that I've been drawn to a lot, but I have the lenses and I use them, and it's a great reminder for me. He was a great photographer, fantastic audiovisual guy, and even a better person. So that's part of my macro story. Uncharacteristically, Gwen, did you wanted me to take the lead on this? So did you want to add anything?
No, I don't think so. It is what it is. I find that as humans, we're making such a mess of things. To look very closely at the little creatures and the plants, I was sounds really hokey, but that's the kind of photography I enjoy. Is looking deeply into what other creatures are doing, and thus they are. And if they're a bit naughty.
Thanks very much.
So next up we have Kim and Nellie. And Kim is with us today to speak to their images.
ViewPoint, the +1 exhibit is a great place to collaborate with other artists. I met Nellie almost 9 years ago at a photography workshop, and we've been friends and participants of various workshops together since. Even though we're separated by 1,500 kilometers or more, we've remained friends and decided that this was a really good time to work together. Nellie lives in Gatineau along the Ottawa River, and of course I'm here in Nova Scotia, where you're never more than an hour away from the ocean, no matter where you are. The 2 sets of images reflect each other and our connection through composition, posture, clothing, and the mood. Each image is composed of a solitary figure within a water-shaped landscape, making the figure appear reflective and connected to something much larger. The title We Are Water and the theme of connections is borrowed from a novel of the same name by one of my absolute favorite authors, Wally Lamb. And the project suggests that connections exist across distance and how people remain shaped by relationships even when they're physically separated. Water is central to the work both literally and symbolically. Our bodies are made mostly of water, and water links all living things. The river and ocean may seem separate, but they're part of a huge continuous system, with fresh water generally always moving its way to the salt water. The movement becomes a metaphor for human connection. Separation does not necessarily mean isolation, and what's carried beneath the surface can still affect what's visible. The work also draws on the water cycle, the evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and the return of it back to Earth. And it's a way to think about memory, transformation, healing, and continuity. We Are Water invites viewers to reflect on proximity and distance, likeness across space, and the quiet ways that people are connected through shared substance, vulnerability, and the ongoing search for understanding. I really appreciate the fact that Nellie said yes right away when I asked her, and she was really excited, and she said if it wasn't for the fact that she was already coming east for a workshop in September, she would have absolutely loved to have come to the exhibit and been here for this event. Thank you.
Great. Next up, we have Roxanne and Shannon. And they're both here to speak to the pictures.
Come on. There. It's all backwards. It's like looking in a mirror. Okay. Hi, I'm Roxanne.
And I'm Shannon.
We've known each other since what, 94?
I think 94.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
1994.
So almost forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
feels like it.
So
Which is great.
Yes, it is great. We had a long chat about what we were going to work on, and what we decided was to work on windows, because she was working actively at that moment on a series of windows. I said, yeah, let's do it, because this makes it easier for you in your complicated life. So I looked at all my images and found windows, and I thought this one with everybody surrounded by the windows would be an interesting.
Yeah, and the initial image that I thought of exhibiting in this show, well, and I'll back it up a little bit. Thank you, Roxanne, for inviting me to be part of this. I've been a photographer for a long time, professionally, and a photo educator more recently, and it's really lovely for you to ask me to be a part of this. The first image that I thought of, that I thought I'd show, I ended up deciding against it, and this one became more, I was like, oh, no, this one is one at the last minute I changed my mind to include this image of my mother that does incorporate windows, and the light coming, the natural and some artificial light coming through the window. I just was actually, it was a very, very candid moment for all the professional setup work that I've done. This one was very candid, and I just happened to be walking into the kitchen, my parents' kitchen, and she was there, and it just encapsulated how I often think of her. And I was like, Mom, don't move. And she's very used to that. My father's very used to it, because I think I know I've been photographing them longer than anybody. And I'm a people photographer, so they are, I guess they've been my muse, but she knows what that means to just don't move. So I managed to thankfully have a camera aside from my phone on me at the moment. So yeah.
And my family, on the opposite end of things, don't even notice that I'm taking a picture. They have come to ignore the fact that the camera's there on a tripod doing its thing. And I guess I'm doing my thing. Yeah. Shows a little window into our family's lives.
Well, and the other thing that I have to mention is the fact that it was a complete coincidence that we were including images of our mothers, which was, I thought, very, very sweet.
Yes.
So thank you. Thanks,
you.
Roxanne.
And we come now to our final pair of presenters, Kathleen and Andrew. And we have Kathleen speak to them.
So many of you will be wondering, what on earth am I looking at? I want to tell you a little bit about what on earth you are looking at. My partner is Andrew Mays. Thank you. And as you probably have gleaned from all of what everyone has said so far, this is an opportunity for all of us to explore collaborations. And the collaborations are all quite different, as I think that's what we've heard so far. So my collaboration was with Andrew Mays. I chose Andrew, and he's a conceptual artist. His exhibits include sound installations and kite flying, among very much other diverse methods of expression. This is unlike me because my artwork is solely photography. Another difference between myself and Andrew is a 35-year age gap. And I'll leave it to you to figure out which one is the older, which is to say me. But our values and interests are definitely compatible, although our cultural contexts and our reference points are quite varied. So we began to talk about a possible collaboration idea, and we came up with the joiner technique. Now, if you're not familiar with what this concept is, please just Google, when you have a chance, joiner and also David Hockney, because he is regarded as kind of the inventor of the joiner technique. Certainly that's the word that he uses. We both Andrew and I have experimented with this photographic technique, and we decided to use it as the basis for our collaboration. We were not going to be working together. He was in British Columbia for the month of May and June, at least half of May and half of June, and so we wouldn't actually see each other's work until just a few days before the exhibit. So Andrew used the joiner technique in the classical Hockney style, which is to say take multiple images of a certain subject with tiny, small movement across time and space. And then assemble them all together. So it's a different way of seeing a particular subject, and Hockney has done that extremely well, and I think Andrew has done a very, very excellent job of this. And the sky is classic Hockney. I think the variations of color that appears in the sky. So my method was quite different, and in fact, in some ways, it was the opposite of a joiner, the opposite of the Hockney technique, and it was to use a single image, in this case, two single images, and then I broke them up into 9 separate pictures, and created a grid for the 9 separate images in each image. And the central image I turned upside down. I inverted it. So it was meant to be kind of another way of looking at something that, in many ways, we're already used to seeing, but it's a new way to see something. So in different ways, I think that my pieces and Andrew's piece defy photography's traditional single point view. That's very classic photography, right? A single point, a single view of something. So we were deliberately trying to break that down. Unexpectedly, as some of you will know, David Hockney died on June the 11th. That caught us certainly by surprise. We were just in the middle of creating our pieces. And so our work is presented here with gratitude and respect as an homage to David Hockney. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much, Kathleen, and thanks very much to all of you for being here today. I now am going to pass this over to Heather, who's going to MC whatever questions people have. And what she's going to do is summarize, for the sake of the recording, she's going to summarize both the question and the answer. So over to Heather.
I can't believe how well behaved you all were. There was no white cane needed to pull you off the stage. So well done, and such interesting talks. I want to, before I open it for comments and questions, say a very special thank you to Cass Stone. Who really pulled this whole herd of cats together into a fabulous exhibit and presentation. Thank you very much, Cass. What an amazing bunch of photography and collaboration. Questions? Comments? Oh my. Yes, Alan.
Yeah, a comment, Ed's comment, a comment on a comment. You don't have to be in an exotic place to make art. And I love your comments about exploring your neighborhood. It's a way to get to know your neighborhood, of course, and your art in the way. Excuse me. Like I say, exotic can be also quite familiar. So I really appreciate it. Your comments. I love your work. What you're doing.
Excellent.
So Alan was commenting on Ed Brisson's neighborhood pictures and saying that it's just such evidence of the fact that we don't need exotic places to find the spirit of where we are, and congratulated Ed on that, and Ed said thank you. Was that a hand up, Everett? Oh, it wasn't. Okay. Yes, Kim.
I would just like to comment to Wes that she undervalues herself and her work. She has an amazing eye, and she just needs to do more of this.
So Kim is commenting on Wes's work and saying she undervalues her work and needs to know that she's got an amazing eye and keep going. And Wes is saying nothing. Trying to hide in her chair. I agree. Yeah. Yes, Jean-Pierre.
I'm here as a guest of my friend Heather. I'm myself a photographer for the last 20 years. And all the time I've been invited in different places to join photography club, usually on a municipal or a city basis. I join our club, Jean-Pierre, join our club. And I never did that. Like I said, I'm a free agent. And I never felt I was missing anything. But I'm now envious of this community. And I would like to live in Halifax. Hopefully, you would accept me here. I think that the work you've displayed, and I was really impressed by this idea of collaboration, which is not easy to do, but is an interesting challenge. So I congratulate all of you, and thank you for having me here this afternoon.
Thanks, Jean-Pierre. Kim, can I just reiterate what he said? Okay. So Jean-Pierre and I have known each other now for going on 3 years. We're going to be attending our 3rd artist retreat together in a couple of weeks. And we are, I don't know, I think he knows a whole lot about collaboration, but Jean-Pierre is saying that we have a community of artists here that is enviable. And is that fair, Jean-Pierre? Is that what? Yes. That he wishes he could move to Halifax, and I can tell you there's an apartment available in my building. Kim?
Well, barring his moving to Halifax, maybe Heather, you can work with him on maybe a virtual.
I will. I have a few days to do that,
Good,
so I will definitely do that. So Kim is suggesting a virtual associate position for Jean-Pierre, and I will give it a whirl. Anything else? Yes, Lorraine?
I was going to comment on Kathleen's, because it's it really struck me the stability of what you created as opposed to Andrew, and the way Andrew, I mean, he's so exact in his replication of Hockney's, how Hockney went about those. But the question I think I want to ask you is, why did you need 2? Like, one wasn't stable enough? You just couldn't.
Oh,
I'm gonna come up there and answer.
Okay,
So
thank you. Can you repeat what she said? I'll repeat it. So Lorraine is commenting on Kathleen's work, which was the last images that we saw, and that Kathleen's are very solid, stable. Thank you. Stable, and why did she need more than one? And Kathleen is here to answer that.
Yeah. Stable is a word I don't very often hear to describe myself, so I think it's good. So as to why, well, really, it was simply because I could. I mean, I actually made 5 of these disjoiners, as I called them, the opposite of joiner, and I had a hard time figuring out which one to choose. The reason that I chose the theft is property, and I should explain that the photograph that you can see, those of you who are in the room can see it. Oh yes, those of you, well, perhaps you could go back to the photographs cast that I have up. So the photograph of theft is property is a kite. It's a kite that's flying in the sky, and it was Andrew that made the kite because